and welcome to Curtain, the theatre blog. Today I want to talk about Woolf Works, a new full-length ballet by Wayne McGregor created for the Royal Ballet. Hands down the most exciting thing I've seen so far this year. It is this gloriously holistic theatrical experience of incredible music, design, lights, intellectual concept and just out of this world dancing. So before I gush anymore, let's have a look at a short trailer. So Woolf Works is what I would describe as a concept ballet, if there is such a thing. It is built around the British writer Virginia Woolf, but rather than taking one of her novels and creating a narrative ballet, McGregor and his dramaturg really wanted to capture the essence of Virginia Woolf's personality and of her writing style. Virginia Woolf was apparently a great admirer of the arts and of dance in particular. She always tried to sort of create dance patterns with her words, so that gave a wonderful starting point for McGregor. Woolf Works is a triptych. It comes in 3 parts, all exploring a different work from the author. The first part is based on Mrs. Dalloway, and here we first meet prima ballerina Alessandra Ferri. She is such an icon of classical ballet. She's 57 years old. She had been retired from the stage 2 years earlier when McGregor asked her to return to play the role of Virginia Woolf. She has always been this very expressive actor, dancer, and with age that lyricism has only grown. It is such a rarity to see older people, especially older women in ballet, and it is such a privilege witnessing this legend give all her wisdom and all her emotional maturity to this role. There's a very beautiful moment where she's kind of marking little steps and trying them on to see how they might link together, just as a writer would be trying out words and little phrases and see how they roll off the tongue. Characters emerge around her, the characters of Mrs. Dalloway that she creates in her mind, and she's sort of dancing with her own fictional characters. And later on we see those characters dance the very steps that she tried on earlier. Like these phrases made it into the final novel, which is such a beautiful bodily translation of what it means to be a writer. The second part explores Orlando, who is this time-traveling, gender-bending superhero. This part is much more typical of McGregor's style. It is super high energy, super physical, extremely technically challenging. We have an ensemble of 6 dancers, every one of them a high-class principal dancer. We have Natalia Osipova, international superstar. Steve McGray, Ed Watson, Sarah Lamb, some of the greatest dancers of our time. They are dressed in unisex Elizabethan costume, but in spacey metallic gold, and they shed various pieces of the costume over time, ending with just a modern bodysuit, which gives a great illusion of time traveling through costume. And an interesting thing is happening with dancers' bodies in general, with the men becoming ever more lean and flexible, and the women are getting more strong and toned, and their bodies are somewhat assimilating. It is sometimes difficult to tell them apart, which gives a great illusion of non-gender. Orlando is this kind of thrilling choreography where you literally forget to breathe. I know some people get eked out when a ballerina has her leg up behind her ear. A McGregor leg would literally be here, as demonstrated here by Natalia Osipova. I know it is gymnastic, but I find it hugely exciting. I called it a superhuman ballet rave in my tweet, which was used here for the cinema broadcast. What is so unusual about McGregor is he does not come from classical ballet, but ended up now mostly creating for the point shoot. He has this insolence, like we have rules in ballet of how we do things and what we think is possible, and he just disregards all of them. He makes bodies do things that literally should be impossible, but when you have incredible dancers like these, they just reach a whole new level. And I love how he then at the end bathes the entire Royal Opera House in laser beams, like a nightclub. It is that complete disregard for tradition that I find so invigorating, and he does definitely bring a completely different crowd into the Royal Opera House. The third part is The Waves, and it starts with a reading from Virginia Woolf's suicide letter to her husband. Alessandra Ferri returns, and she is surrounded by the corps de ballet who move in ever-growing patterns of waves. The backdrop is this beautiful, melancholic black and white picture of the sea, and it took me a minute to realize it's actually a super slow motion video. As the dancing and the wave formations grow, this video also picks up pace and the waves become less serene and more threatening. We lose sight of Alessandra Ferry in the ensemble. She bobs up here and she bobs up there and it all swirls around her and she's kind of drowning in bodies, and the next time she comes up, she's dead. It is so unusual for McGregor to do something this lyrical and this emotional. He usually has this scientist's brain. His work is so abstract. He's fascinated by high-tech and anything digital. So he really went into unknown territory here with this semi-narrative ballet. And I think he really pushed himself to the next level. Lastly, I'm sure everyone watching that trailer goes, that music. Who did that music? And I think McGregor's greatest talent of all is probably finding these incredible people to collaborate with. This is Max Richter. He's a young British-German composer. When I say young, I mean he's a living composer. That itself is such a rarity, to have someone sitting down there in the pitch conducting his own work. He does minimal music hugely influenced by Philip Glass, but with a much bigger nod towards electronic music. And I love again how he makes the whole orchestra of the Royal Opera House stop and listen to this guy pressing buttons on his computer. The music of Woolf works came out a couple of weeks ago and went into the iTunes download charts. Like, when did that last happen? A classical composer in the iTunes charts. Incidentally, I was in Foyles the other day, and Virginia Woolf's The Waves was in the front section with the bestsellers. This was just shortly after the cinema broadcast. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's a real little buzz around this piece. A DVD, I've been told, is very likely due to popular demand, and I honestly couldn't recommend it high enough, especially if you think ballet isn't really your thing, because there is so much more here to experience and to explore. And when you have these amazing kind of dancers, I honestly think there is nothing that they couldn't say with their bodies. And I find it horrendous that these very same dancers are then forced every year to do a Frederick Ashton piece for the sake of Great British Ballet. This is Great British Ballet right here. And it's not just McGregor, there's David Dawson and Christopher Wheeldon doing beautiful things, Russell Maliff and Matthew Bourne still going strong. I think this really is a golden time for British dance, and it's something to be proud of and to celebrate. So here you have it, Woolf Works by Wayne McGregor. It's a full 5 stars from me, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Thank you for watching.